Scorpio Sky is once again the TNT champion, but with all this hot potato in, are AEW ruining the perception of the TNT championship? We're going to talk about it and a lot more right here at WrstlXtra. Stay tuned.
Yo, this is WrstlXtra. I'm your boy A Dazzle, of course, as always, joined by my tag team partner Mex, the WrestleManiac, if you will. And yes, it is the 3rd of May, so it is the first of the month. So we are always joined by our guy Gerard Bonner from the Faction Show. What is good, sir?
What's good, family? It's good to see you guys as always. I love the first of the month. Absolutely.
Let's go for it. For those that have probably seen our social medias already, just before the show kicked off, we are talking. It's going to be a very heavy AEW strong show today. We're talking Scorpio Sky. We're talking about Swerve, Keith Lee, and everyone else that appeared in the last couple of weeks. Now, here's the thing. We weren't here last week because we felt as though we were talking about the same thing for a very long time. And I'll be very honest, this week isn't much different. Some things have changed. We've got enough to talk about. Gerard's here too. He can add his information and knowledge and all the rest of it in there as well. But it's a little bit weird right now in the world of black wrestling on the main stage. So in AEW, in WWE very specifically. Gerard, I'm going to cut to you very quickly. You were at a show the other day. I think it was last week, called it was Battle Slam.
Yes, Battle Slam Vendetta.
Battle Slam. The reason why I'm coming to this is, as I said, on the main stage, we're a little bit quiet. There's not much going on. There's nothing on a week-to-week basis. There's nothing that's in your face. Oh my God, this is happening.
Yeah.
But yet on the indies, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Now, you were one of the commentators at Battle Slam. It was a very different type of show. Just give us a very quick synopsis of what the show was about and how it went for you, and just kind of how you're seeing the importance at the moment right now, especially this year, with independent wrestling and black wrestlers in independent wrestling at the moment.
Absolutely. So Battle Slam Vendetta happened about a week or so ago here in the Atlanta area. I was doing commentary along with Shug D, who you guys might know as Pineapple Pete from AEW. An amazing time. And the whole premise of the event was what happens when pro wrestling collides with hip hop. So we actually had live hip hop performances and wrestling happening. So Pastor Troy was there, which is just nuts on the ATL circuit. Josiah Williams, who you know as Russell and Flow, did a lot of themes for NXT and AEW. This was his first independent show. And he actually brought Baron Black down to the ring and rapped his theme song. DJ McKelvey was the DJ, so they had a live DJ. And they would do like super cool things, like when certain things would happen, there'd be literal sound effects from the DJ because the moves were so dope. Like, it was incredible. Oh my gosh, it was so dope. Wow. And to me, knowing how wrestling has been connected to music forever, and how really WWE launched into the stratosphere with the rock and wrestling connection, it only made sense for there to be an event involving wrestling and hip hop, knowing how these two are so connected. So this was incredible. And strangely enough, you had several AEW talents there as well. Max Caster, he fought Myron Reed from MLW, which was crazy. The main event was Lee Moriarty and Baron Black, which was nuts. I mean, so you had incredible wrestling. Fuego del Sol was there against Alex Kane. Like, it was insane. It was insane. So shout out to Baron Black. It's kind of a sister promotion to Terminus, basically.
Right.
And it was epic. It was absolutely epic. And I'll give you this sneak peek. I have heard that it's going to be available, from what I've been told, on a major streaming platform at some point very soon. So Baron didn't tell us exactly where, but that's exactly what he told us. So it makes me feel like this is going to be pretty big. So as soon as that drops, I'll let you guys know.
Interesting. As I said, man, the importance of independence scene to the mainstream at the moment for black wrestling is super important.
Absolutely.
Before we get to the main thing of Scorpio Sky, and how this whole hot potato, or as I like to call it, sweet potato Sky, thing is going on at the moment. We can talk about some of these wrestlers that have made their names on the indies and kind of making their way through into AEW at the moment. Obviously, we've mentioned, the likes of Jonathan Gresham in the past, and Gerard, you just mentioned Lee Moriarty. But on Rampage, we saw Trish Adora, Willow Nightingale in that match with the baddies, everyone's favorite trio right now, Jade Cargill, Red Velvet, and Kiera Hogan. I can't imagine why it's everyone's favorite trio.
No idea.
No idea at all.
No idea.
Asking the wrong person.
I don't know what you're talking about. No,
Beats me.
to see those, to see the likes of Trish, who is the Pan-African World Diaspora champion as well, and Willow Nightingale, who's kind of, been seen on AEW and ROH quite recently. Mex, just give me kind of your opinion. We saw Willow win her first match yesterday.
Yeah.
Just give me your opinion on how important you think it is for those ladies to come through and even just that match alone. Just give me your opinion on that match itself.
Well, the match wasn't like the longest match in the world. It was obviously to put over the baddies as, this kind of new upcoming faction within the women's division, which was very necessary. The inclusion of Willow Nightingale in the match just kind of, it shows we're moving in the right direction for that signing, that official signing, which I think we're all calling for to happen. Trish Adora being involved was a great surprise, and again, it was really good to see. This is someone that had obviously recently, back end of last year, signed with Ring of Honor, and then what happened to Ring of Honor happened to Ring of Honor, and then you're kind of thinking about people like her, Jonathan Gresham. We're still thinking about STP. We haven't seen what's happening with them, but it has to happen. It's got to happen. So yeah, these are people that now you can see they're at least back on the radar. Tony Khan, Sean Dean, whoever the powers that be are, like they're remembering these people and they're getting a chance to showcase. Trish Adora being on TV is a massive deal. I wish they had an entrance. I wish she came up with a title, but one day we'll get there. We'll get there. But yeah, the baddies, they went over. They're doing some good stuff here, and I don't think it's a coincidence either that the week after, or in the same week, where a lot of noise was made about NXT having 23 women on the show, Rampage thought, okay, let's try to address this and put 6 women in one match. We can't complain. Like, this is what we made noise for, so they're taking action, which is usually what AEW do. So
for sure. And it's very weird, with Rampage. We've seen over the past few weeks, we've seen the likes of Swerve, Keith Lee, Ricky Starks, kind of being on that show quite often. I think Jay Lethal's another one we can mention. He's been on that show quite a bit. That last Rampage on Friday gone was very melanin heavy. Indeed. Do you think that we're starting to, or Tony Khan, AEW are starting to address the whole backlash that that they've had for most of the time that AEW's been around, but especially at the start of the year, the whole thing with Swole and blah blah kind of brought it back to the fore again? Do you think we're starting to see some kind of change? Or is it just this whole, right, we're just going to throw them on and then we're going to tell people, oh, well, there was 6 black people on Rampage last week, so stop complaining.
I'll start by saying this. To your point, AEW Rampage this week, forgive me for saying this, was very black. And it felt like literally you had someone of African-American descent in virtually every segment, with the exception of the main event. And so that's exciting. I think what's even more exciting is it all made sense for all of those folks to be there. So it didn't feel like, oh, you're just throwing black people at us. They are people that we want to see. We wanted to see Swerve in that qualifying match. We wanted to see Keith Lee in that match. We wanted to see the baddies, Willow Nightingale, Trish Adora. We wanted to see that. and the spots that they're in make sense for them. The hardest thing I think that has to happen in pro wrestling is for people to get over, not based on what they look like, but based on who they are, because they have to be able to resonate with everybody. And in this particular case with Rampage, everybody resonated. And I have a theory about the Scorpio Sky situation, which we'll get to at some point, but it lies in that same vein. So I think this was a great move. And not just that, but because it felt natural means that they've been starting to tell these stories in a way that makes sense. So I think this is a good move, a very, very good move. And I think it'll continue.
Max, going back to the baddies, just quickly, actually, obviously we've seen the three of them form together. The last time we were on the show, we were talking about them being together, but also needing and wanting almost an explanation as to why, and more so especially with the history of Jade Cargill and Red Velvet. We've not had a real explanation as to why. A part of me feels as though I don't need it, but at the same time, because of the history, again, I'm like, give us a little bit more of a why, give us a bit more of a backstory, give us a bit more substance to them being together. As Gerard says, it's about their character and who they are. So do you feel we still need something from this trio in terms of a backstory?
We do, because if WWE done this, horns will be blasting. Like, you can't just put three people together and not tell us why. Now, I haven't been the one that has said it, but our white brothers, our white counterparts have been very vocal in saying that AEW tend to just band black people together.
Right.
Whether it's a black person making a save for another black person or black people tagging with another black person, they tend to just do it. Now, right now, that's basically what they've done again. But we can see how this can be positive. They just need to, connect the lines, like you're saying.
Right.
Kira Hogan wasn't on TV for forever. Like, I don't think we've seen Kira Hogan before now until like November or so last year. And she's just popped up. Red Velvet, like you said, has got history. Her and Jade Cargill was looking like a fight forever situation at one point. That these two, kept knocking heads. So yeah, if our white brothers and sisters can notice that this is the case with how they're doing things, then we don't have to actually speak in this situation. It wouldn't go amiss to just say a couple of things, even like things like they're holding up money. Kira Hogan, no, not the money, the little money fans or whatever they are. They've all got one. Like, what does it take to just give them a little backstage segment? And again, we said this with Jade for so long. We knew Jade was ready for the camera and to cut promos before they almost knew she was ready to do it.
Right.
Like, Kira Hogan didn't start wrestling yesterday. You see what I mean? Like, give them a mic. Like, let them be entertainers. This is the entertainment factor, whether people like to say it or not, in pro wrestling, is still more than half of the job. Like, you've got to be able to entertain. So, yeah, let's not just skip over the fact that these guys are together and everyone's loving it. Like, we still need an explanation of why they're together. And then, like I said, let them do their thing on more than just a wrestling front.
It's kind of almost trying to understand what's their common goal, like what brought them together. Yes, there was a rivalry before, but then Red Velvet could be very simple as, people didn't appreciate what she was doing. And she's upset by that. And then, Jade maybe took her under a wing, or she said, forget the fans, I'm going to do my own thing and all that kind of thing. Again, Kira Hogan could do the same thing, but in a way where she's like, well, no, everyone forgot about me. So this is me in your face now. This is what I'm going to do. It's simple stuff, but it's not happening. Gerard, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, my thought is a couple of things. For one, I think it only takes a line or two. Like, I don't even think an entire segment is needed. I think a note in commentary which simply says, hey, you know what? She couldn't, in terms of Red Velvet, she couldn't beat Jade, so she joined Jade. Right. I mean, we've seen enemies become great tag teams. We've seen that all over the world of pro wrestling. So I think there's that. The other side of it, though, where they may not need it, is because of the organic things that have been happening on social media. I really think that the baddies are the first real case in AEW where social media told a story that didn't happen on camera. When these three women were backstage doing TikTok videos,
right,
we all went, wait a minute. I didn't know I needed that. But now I want to see more of it. So I think this is one of those cases where Jade and the baddies may have literally taken matters into their own hands, hopped onto the socials, did 2 TikTok videos, and now we're like, give us the baddies. I mean, there are signs now talking about the unofficial baddie section with full-grown men, right? So I just think, oh yeah. Oh, you didn't see it? Yeah. Full-grown men who were just like, we are the unofficial baddie section. Sign us up. So I just think that this may be a case where AEW doesn't need to, because they already took care of it. The baddies took care of it on socials, to where when we saw that, we believed what we saw. It didn't feel like, oh, these 3 girls are just backstage doing TikTok videos. It was like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. Okay, I'm game. You know, and then it's like the wrestling followed. So I think AEW may have gotten away with it. Now, had they not done that, I think this would make absolutely no sense. But because they did that, I think it told the story that AEW may not have been ready to tell.
But I think for me, there still needs to be, you know, as you said, just a line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A line or two, whether that be on commentary, whether that be them holding a mic and saying something. A line needs to be said, because, you know, as much as we are on there 24/7, not everyone's on social media.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
You know what I mean? Not everyone's on social media. So not everyone's going to see the freedom together and think, oh, that's from the TikTok videos. They're going to be like, oh, how did them three come together?
Right. And to your point, WWE does a much better job of recapping this social media stuff that we care. So I think to your point, so even if they did that, right? Yeah. Like, so if they don't do a line, or if they don't mention any commentary, throw up the social media stuff to say they're gelling, they're a thing, etc. So I'm with you on that.
Well, even the ladies could have, you know, took into their own hands, maybe having a little explanation on, you know, social media, like, we're the baddies. My name's Kiera Hogan. I'm Jade Cargill, your what is it? What network is she champion of? TBS. I'm your TBS champion.
I don't know what it is.
I nearly said TNA champion.
That's funny. Wow.
Yeah, I'm Jade Cargill, your TBS champion. And then this is Red Velvet. Yes, we used to have our beef, but, you know, we're all about making money and black women empowerment. Done.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, just something small, innit? But I guess we'll roll with the punches. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and for the most part, it is quite self-explanatory from, you know, from the social media to the last few weeks of, you know, the cameras highlighting this section or row of women, you know, called the baddest section, who were following Jade, and, you know, but we kind of just had this thing where Kiera Hogan popped up, and then Red Velvet popped up. And it's only really more so the Red Velvet part, because of the history, that kind of confused us just a little bit. Just give us a line or two just to say, you know, what it is or why it is really. But apart from that, I think, you know, these three, as they've made it very clear, it's money. The trio, the threesome, it's absolute money. Putting those three together, the way they are, how they are, the whole thing on TikTok, just even them in the ring, they gelled very well in the ring. From what we saw on Friday as well, and they're only just starting out. Kiera's got, you know, she's got a history and experience behind her, but she's new to AEW, so there's still a lot to do with her as well, or a lot that can be done with her, which is a great thing. Obviously, Jade is Jade. She's the most watched person on AEW TV, as we know. And then Red Velvet has a bit of a following. She has a reputation, not always the greatest one, but they're turning it around, so she's using it to her advantage, which is great. So I think right now, the three of them together is absolutely perfect. The only thing they need to do is get rid of Mark. That's it.
Agreed.
Get rid of this not so smart Mark. Guy. I heard Malcolm Bivens is free in about 60 days.
Bring him in.
That would make so much. The money that they will print
would be phenomenal.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's less than that as well. He's free in like less than 30 days.
Oh, that's
NXT
right. 30 because
only,
it's NXT. That's
yeah,
right.
they
Yeah,
don't have to wait the
it's
whole
30 days. Yeah, it's 30 days.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That should be very interesting. That could be very interesting, should I say? Moving away just a little bit. We mentioned Swerve as well. He was on Rampage in the Owen Hart qualifying match, the only Owen Hart tournament qualifying match against Darby Allin. A history between them two, coming from Defy Wrestling back in their home state of Washington, I believe it is.
Yes.
Match was great. We had some shenanigans, of course, from Ricky Starks, who decided to appear and all the rest of it. What do you think about Swerve now not being in this tournament? Was that match a little bit too early? I believe it was. It was way too early. The way it went down was fine in terms of Ricky Starks getting involved because of, history with Swerve at the moment, or the feud with Swerve at the moment. I just feel as though Swerve probably should have been in this tournament. Mex, what do you think about this whole scenario?
I don't think Swerve should have lost, but at this point, I'll be lying to you if I said I cared about this tournament, because AEW have not sold this to me at all in the way, at least I thought. And this could be down to interpretation, and maybe all of us fans just kind of got taken away with, we saw Owen Hart, we saw tournament, we probably thought we were getting something akin to the G1, we probably thought we were getting like a 32-man tournament of technical wrestling excellence to honor Owen Hart. And since they started doing these qualifying matches that have no brackets, it's like every week a match is a qualifying match. We don't know who's in it. We don't when this tournament's actually started. I thought that, okay, Swerve versus Darby. Darby is now in that position where he can lose, he'll still be over. No one will mind. So this will be good for Swerve, and especially to move him away from that whole Ricky Starks thing. I thought it was done personally. But Swerve didn't win. Darby progresses into a tournament where he probably won't win. Swerve is still with Ricky Starks. And this tournament still doesn't look enticing. So I'm not sure what, if anything, was achieved here apart from giving these guys a match on Rampage.
It's very weird. Like, as you said, the second I heard about any type of tournament connected to Owen Hart, you're thinking technical wrestling excellence straight away. Whether they brought in some outside people just to, fill up the tournament, just to give us those types of matches. Like a Zack Sabre Jr., for example, or or someone like that, or to help usher in Jonathan Gresham and a few others that were in ROH and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I don't understand why there's a qualifier. I don't get this qualifier thing. It makes no sense whatsoever. Another match that was probably way too early, probably should have been like a semi-final match, was between the two members of FTR. Why was that a qualifier? They should have been on separate ends of the brackets, or in the same side. At some point they meet.
Right.
Not just a qualifier to see who goes into the tournament, when there's now still, we don't know how many people are supposed to be in this tournament. And as Mick said, when it's supposed to start and what it's supposed to be, I just don't get it. Gerard, you can maybe shed some light. You know more things than we do.
Well, one of the things that they did say is that the tournament is supposed to officially begin like May the 14th or something like that. But to me, where that's problematic is this: when we think about all of the great tournaments, be that the G1, King of the Ring, any other tournament that we can think of, the tournament means something from the perspective of the winner gets X, right? So the winner's going to main event at Wrestle Kingdom. The winner's going to be King of the Ring and now becomes #1 contender. We have no clue what the winner is going to get from this. I don't know if they're going to get a trophy. I don't know if they're going to get a wall at the Owen Hart Foundation. Like, I don't know what they're getting, right? Are they going to get like a pair of Owen Hart's trunks, for crying out loud? I have no earthly idea, right? And to your point, what kind of a tournament? Think about this. The G1 doesn't have qualifiers. Like you just find out, here are the 32 people in the G1.
Right.
You know, here are the 16 people in Best of the Super Juniors. We have no idea. Wait, and now we get a men's and a women's.
And the women's and qualifiers for both.
And qualifiers for both. And then this tournament's going to last for 2 weeks, ending at Double or Nothing. For what? So that's what's sad about this is AEW right now are the only place that actually has the rights to an Owen Hart anything. So you would figure that you'd make this thing worthwhile. Everybody involved should have some sort of connection to Owen Hart, whether, you know, he's inspired them, he's a descendant, like something. But it's just random things. And if you give us the great matches to qualify, then what are we going to get during the tournament? Like, I just think that it was a great idea that was poorly executed, and they're literally grabbing people from out of the sky to so now Jeff Hardy and Bobby Fish are your next guys to fight in a qualifying match. Why? Like, so you take 2 tag team wrestlers like you had with Dax and his partner, like, and Cash, and now why? Like it,
bro. I was saying on my AEW show, that this is extremely WWE. This is how WWE treat the King of the Ring and how they treat Queen of the Ring,
but at least King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring have history. So at least we could say Queen of the Ring is a female King of the Ring, even though they've botched all things King of the Ring this year, no doubt about it. But this is brand new, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just
we expect better. That's what it is. We expect better, especially from the company that wants to be more sports orientated, that wants to be more pro wrestling than sports entertainment. We definitely expect better, and I just feel like, you know, like we say, Swerve was just put into this match. It's just for the sake of having a Swerve versus Darby match. A Dazzle, you were saying it was too early. It is, because these guys have that history. So we don't need to motivate it with like a meaningless tournament matchup. By the time this tournament gets started, there's only going to be about 8 men in this, because it's 2 weeks away from Double or Nothing.
Right.
We've had about 6 weeks, if not longer, worth of qualifying matches. Like, I expected so much more from this. Like, it's very, very poor.
It's very poor. And you know what scares me is in a match where, you know, you've got Jeff Hardy versus Bobby Fish, and we're expecting, you know, this whole tournament should have been this pro wrestling excellence and blah, blah, blah. Jeff Hardy's going to win that match. Why is Jeff Hardy winning that match for a tournament like this when it should be Bobby Fish? I just don't get the point, the premise, what is the point? And even going all the way back a few weeks back as well, when Will Nightingale went against Red Velvet, it really should have been a chance for them to put over Willow. Right. We already know who Red Velvet is.
Right.
If you're going to put them in a qualifier, let Red Velvet take the hit. Give Willow some time, couple wins, maybe lose in a semi-final or something, but at least then you build in a new star at the same time in putting this tournament together, where, you know, Owen Hart was the guy that shouldn't have been as big as he was. He was as big as he was because he was the underdog. So now you've got Willow as the underdog. Let her go.
And you know the other issue with what you've just created, what you literally just said. Red Velvet now, she's gonna go and lose in that tournament, then she's gonna go stand next to our 30-0 lady. Like, don't come and bring your nonsense to baddie section, bro.
Right?
Like, no one wants to see that.
Yeah. So it now makes me ask the question: does AEW know what this tournament is supposed to mean? Right? Because you both have raised incredible points about Owen Hart. So this could have technical prowess. It could be a space for the underdogs. You know, it could be all of these things. And yet at no point do we look at anybody in this tournament and go, they represent any of those things. So you talk about an explanation needed. We need a bigger explanation for this. Then at least we can piece together stuff for the baddies. I can't piece anything together for this yet. You know, I don't know. I don't
very
know.
King of the Ring. It's very King of the Ring. Even we're talking about, you could get the who's going to be in the tournament. They have a ranking system. They could at least motivate who's going to be in the tournament with the ranking system, or we don't need all these qualifiers, more qualifiers than what's actually going to happen in the tournament itself.
And then another crazy lack of continuity is, so you announce this Forbidden Door pay-per-view, and then on the heels of you announcing it, you say, oh, and as a preview, we'll have AEW versus New Japan to qualify for this tournament, and the AEW guy wins. When Owen was actually in New Japan.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is going on with this tournament? Yeah, it doesn't make any level of sense. As I said, the last two matches we saw for the men's tournament, and even as we said, a couple of them for the women's one, just don't make any sense. It should have been Swerve to go through, let Darby take the hit, or that match comes later on in the tournament. Dax and Cash again. I think it's Dax that saved Bret Hart that time he got attacked at the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Massive fans of Bret Hart, and they've always said it. Massive fans of Bret Hart, and yet we're having that tournament as a qualifier. Are you mad? Yes, it was great and entertaining. Yes, they're on the heels of being, they've been killing it on the tag team in the tag teams in the last couple of months and stuff.
Right.
So to go at it together is great, but for that to be for nothing, completely pointless.
Yeah, I agree.
Should have been the final.
It in the final. If that was the final, no one would be arguing. We'd be like, all right, cool, no problem. Let's go. Let's do it.
Right.
This is perfect.
Totally.
Let's go.
Totally.
But it was a qualifier, and we don't even know who Dax is gonna face.
We don't know who any of them are gonna face. How about that?
Exactly.
I mean, is it gonna be like a Royal Rumble thing where you just put their names in the rolling ball thing and just pick a name out and that's who's fighting? Like, what in the world?
Yet, we know that what's her face? Tony Storm is facing Jamie Hayter. How? But people are still qualifying. Look, we have went on a massive tangent, but this tournament is not it. It's not it. It's really not it.
I want them to win with this. Come on.
It's so WWE. Like, this is literally them being like cosplaying WWE.
Cosplay.
The leaders in sports entertainment.
It's sad because this thing could have been great, as we said. The whole excellence, the whole some kind of underdog coming through and all that, especially an unsigned one, or someone from a different promotion and all that kind of stuff. The possibilities are still there. It is still there, but you've clearly killed some of that already, and that's the issue for me. It can be saved. It can be saved, but
not this year. It can't.
I'm just
2023, bro.
Well, they're gonna have to do it this week. If they're gonna save it, they gotta save it this week.
I'm just not invested. That's the problem. Yeah. I'm just not invested in it at all. And as you said, Gerard, we don't know what they're fighting for.
Right.
You know what I mean, just to be called, the first guy to win the Owen Hart tournament.
There's another theory here.
It's nice, but for what?
This screams to me the idea of we just have to get the news out first. It's the same thing they did. They signed every week. Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm saying. When they bought Ring of Honor, they bought Ring of Honor that day, and they had to announce it that night. But you had no plans. We still don't have a TV deal for Ring of Honor. We don't know what's happening. So here, the Owen Hart tournament started too soon. You can't start a tournament that's going to commence in May, in April. Like that, there's particularly at the pace that AEW moves, they squeeze 4 hours of TV into 2 hours. So you're already like, okay, I don't have time to digest it. And then now you get random. We're not. No, they got to change that.
I already said, that something is up with this tournament. The minute that, FTR were basically, and excuse me if I'm out of touch here, but they're basically twerking for Bret Hart every week. And then all of a sudden, Bret Hart goes and signs with WWE. Something's happened there. Like your brother is about to be honored in AEW. And whether it's between Bret Hart and AEW people or Bret Hart and Owen Hart's representatives, aka his wife or whomsoever, some things went wrong there. And unfortunately, yeah, we're still going to see what happens of this tournament, but there may be something bigger underlying.
Very true. Very, very possible. And again, I'll make the point again, for Swerve to not be in it is another missed opportunity to build up, as big as a star Swerve already is, to build up your new guy in your company, whether he wins it or not. Give him a couple of wins, put him on a run, boom, good to go. But this is where we are. Speaking of this is where we are, we now have a two-time TNT champion in Scorpio Sky. Mex has already mentioned this hot potato thing. We actually said about 2 or 3 weeks ago we didn't expect this type of thing to happen because AEW doesn't do hot potato. Yes, they do. And it's happening right now. And it's weird. As I said already, this is sweet potato Sky, hot potato stuff with Scorpio Sky. And I just I don't get it. But at the same time, the one great thing that I saw happen during that match was when Scorpio Sky was climbing that ladder, about to grab the belt, and the roar that he was getting. And then when he grabbed it as well, I was like, this actually now makes a little bit more sense to me. I can see why or where this is now going. I think it's a case of Sammy turning heel, kind of wasn't unintentionally turning heel, and now Sky is basically the face. How that happened, I don't know, but this is where we're at. Gerard, how have you seen this last few weeks of the TNT Championship? Kind of the way it's been booked basically over the last month or so.
Yeah, it's funny. I think you kind of took the words out of my mouth, because the thing I was thinking is the brilliance of all of this is somehow Scorpio Sky is loved again, right? And I don't know if it is Scorpio Sky is loved as much as it is Sammy Guevara is hated. Right? Like the hate that they have for him, because here's the deal. Not only did all of a sudden Scorpio become loved, but that whole America's Top team became loved. Like, wait a minute. This is the same Dan Lambert who was calling women out of their names a few months ago and, said all sorts of tawdry and terrible things. And now we love him? Huh? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And literally by proxy and by default, Scorpio Sky has become a fan favorite because they just wanted to see Sammy Guevara lose. And so I'll take it, you know what I mean? But it was like literally when he lost the title all of 2 weeks ago, I was like, okay, didn't bother me. But then all of a sudden they started cheering him and I was like, wait, huh? It's because they hate Sammy Guevara and they hate Ty Conti so much that they'll just cheer anybody. They hated everybody in America's Top team. Everybody. And now we get inspirational speeches from Dan Lambert? Are you kidding me? What?
You're killing me.
No. This is the hate for Sammy Guevara. When he becomes a fan favorite, you know what the deal is. So congratulations, Scorpio Sky. But good Lord. Thank you, Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti.
Make sure you gather yourself. Give me your
my gosh.
Just say it.
Let me take some comments. Jabari McIntyre says, Dan Lambert getting cheered. We are in bizarro world.
Shout out to Jabari. That's my guy. Yeah, but that's exactly where we are.
NK says, I kind of get the Scorpio Sky switch. I provided the biggest pop Scorpio has gotten since the early AEW days. I think that it was a reactionary decision since Sammy and Tay wasn't working as a face act. I won't lie, I won't sugarcoat it. It's definitely more because the fans aren't feeling Sammy and Tay Conti 100%. However, I would almost argue that although he done a good job in American Top Team as a heel, and I guess he is still a heel, he has done his better work in the past as a face character. Right. And it was a good match, but it was just that, yeah, we don't want Sammy to walk out of here with that title. So everyone was kind of going along with Scorpio Sky and American Top Team and stuff. It's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. He's already kind of promised that Kazarian is going to be his first opponent. And I mean, if they want to kind of maybe try to give us the TNT run that maybe Scorpio should have had when he faced Cody that time, this could possibly, you know, him and Kazarian could show some respect to one another. Maybe Ethan Page gets jealous, and that ultimately turns Scorpio back to a full-on face. And then we can have this title run. And I think it'll be a lot more natural to him. But yeah, we were here 2 weeks ago, last time we done the show, and Scorpio Sky had just lost this title.
Right.
And now it's literally like, what's happened? He's champion again. Like we say, it's good for him. He's gotten up there now with, you know, Cody and Sammy being like the most decorated TNT champion. But this belt feels a million miles away from when Cody had it, from when Miro had it. Like it's I don't know, and I don't know how they're gonna make it, you know, raise up again and be that kind of prestigious title, but we just roll with the punches again until we see something better.
You know, to be honest, I think you raised the perfect point, though, and a great way for that to actually happen in Sky moving away from, especially Ethan Page. And because as we've said from day one, the second Sky joined with Page and was kind of like Page's sidekick.
Dead to me.
It was boom.
Right.
We're done. We killed Scorpio Sky there and then, basically. So for him to be where he's at now, for him to get the reaction that he's got, and all, you know, yes, granted, it definitely is because Sammy's hated, not so much because Scorpio's loved, or, you know, it's definitely more Sammy than Scorpio. I think it gives us a perfect time now to do this thing, as you said, Mex, with Kazarian, and then there's some kind of respect, there's some kind of breaking away from Ethan Page and American Top Team. Ethan Page is going to get jealous. I'm surprised that hasn't happened already.
Right.
And then we'll get the proper Scorpio face and hopefully some kind of decent run. If he then has, you know, decent opponents that he beats during this run, I think it will raise both him and the TNT Championship, which I believe is needed for both. For both Sky and the championship itself. The way it's been booked over the last month or so, from when Miro lost it, for me, kind of just went all over the place. And a lot of the booking has been completely unnecessary, from Sky winning it to Wardlow not even getting it to Sammy getting it back. Sky's got it back again. Like, I don't even see the point of Sky losing it to getting it back again. Like, I know we had the pop, but I'm sure that pop would have still happened if that ladder match happened and Sky was still champion because of the hate for Sammy. So I kind of don't get it. Can anyone shed any light as to why that even happened? That 2-week hot potato. Like, what was it?
So, like I thought at the time, Cody's left the company. They want to make Sammy Guevara the person that's the 3-time champion and almost like erase Cody from the history books. WWE do stuff like that all the time, and that's the only thing I could really put it down to.
Yeah, I do think it's just booking all over the place. I mean, think about, a lot happened with Sammy. The whole inner circle disbanded. So you had Sammy breaking away from Jericho, Sammy now getting with Ty Conti. Now they're loved, now they're hated. It is a lot. I think this is where they have too many things happening at one time. And it's like, how in the world do you make this work? So yeah, I don't think it made much sense at all.
I'll just say as well that Sammy Guevara hasn't had, out of the 3 title runs, none of them have been good. He's provided good matches in every single run. Every outing has been a really good match. But just the first 2 were clouded by inner circle stuff. Yes. And then this one, because he's here lipsing up his girlfriend every day, like, the crowd are just over him. You see what I mean? Like, I don't know how they're gonna, they call him one of the 4 pillars. They have to find a way to take him to the upper echelon. You see what I mean? To the next step,
Right.
because clearly putting a title on him so far anyway hasn't proven to be the thing that, you know, makes him go to that next step. Right now, the rest of them are on some lower level, and MJF is the one flying. He's the one that ain't even had a title.
Never touched it.
The rest of them have had titles. Like MJF
Well,
clearly don't need it right now.
I think Jungle Boy is actually the one that they're making an ascent for, because with his work in these tag title matches, by far he's the Shawn Michaels of that tag team without question. You know, and so I think, to your point of those pillars, he's the one that's ascending. You're right, MJF is already there without having touched the belt, and Sammy's great in the ring, but that's it.
That literally is it. Darby's kind of fallen by the wayside, I guess. Just not enough happening for him, I guess, more than anything. Not so much him
has to break away from Sting.
Darby's got that Jeff Hardy about him, that win or lose or whatever, everyone's just gonna love him forever. Like, which is probably, you know, if you're an achievement-driven person, that might be a difficult spot to be in. But he's going to be well looked after in his AEW career.
I hate to make this analogy. Ooh, here comes the controversy. He's the Shelton Benjamin of the Money in the Bank ladder match.
Oh, no, God forbid.
I mean, you have him there for great spots, but he's not going to win the big one.
Very Jeff Hardy as well, though, to be honest. As much as Jeff Hardy,
very much Jeff Hardy.
It is very much the whole point of Jeff Hardy's whole existence.
Yes.
Thing was, even in tag team, actually, that's literally what he was there for. So, very, very true. It's a shame. It's a shame. Very
it is
true.
a shame.
Jabari, I was just about to jump on that comment. Sean Dean beating the Pinnacle is more interesting than Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti right now. You know what?
Facts.
It really is. It really is. I hope that means something for Sean Dean at some point. I mean, I know it's not the whole, you know, the focus. It's not, but at the same time, give me something for Sean Dean, please.
Yes,
agreed. Apart from 2 count-out victories over MJF. I mean, moving away from AEW, there's something that we mentioned earlier in the conversation today, and I did actually want to touch on this. I just completely forgot about it. What is happening with Xavier Woods and the King of the Ring? Because obviously we know Xavier won the King of the Ring about how many months ago? Back in January, February. King Xavier, big massive crown, all this stuff, and blah blah blah. Unfortunately, got injured. Okay, fair enough. But he's come back now. Biggie's disappeared. Kofi was nursing a new baby.
You answered your question. He got injured. It's over. Nothing lasts forever. It's done. Finito. Kaput. Arrivederci. It's done. Like, bro, like, I mean, let's be completely honest. Yes, it was something he held close to his heart, but it doesn't really mean anything anyway these days. King of the Ring, champion, or whatever you want to call it. Like, it don't mean nothing. And he's come back. He's still dressing with a royal swagger, but he's crownless. His singles theme is not there. It's New Day again.
He's not being addressed as King Xavier anymore. It's back to Xavier Woods.
It's done, bro. He's in bondage right now with Ridge Holland and Sheamus. Every week is some combination of New Day and them lot.
He got put through a table on Friday on SmackDown.
Now they got a tables match this Friday. Even though you done it last week, and it's what do you expect?
Well, to me, what's sad about this is King Woods, who has far more skills, than Queen Zelina. Queen Zelina ends up having she's still being called Queen Zelina. Even she had a chance to win a championship in the women's tag titles, got to be at WrestleMania, got to do all of these things. And Xavier was just all of a sudden Xavier again. I don't think it's right that injury causes his kingship not to still be acknowledged. It was really still in the formative stages. But to me, what I think was problematic was they ended it before they started it by putting him against Roman Reigns. Like, why? The King of the Ring is supposed to have his own thing. We knew that early on, going up. Put it this way: when Baron Corbin was King of the Ring, he was King Corbin for a year,
like forever,
a whole year. Whoever wanted to see that?
Yeah.
Here comes Keith Sweat. Nobody wants to see that, right? We don't want to see King Corbin, but King Woods becomes the king, and all of a sudden he gets injured. Well, before he gets injured, he ends up against the Bloodline. Nobody's beating the Bloodline. Nobody. So that gets squashed. And I think that's the unfortunate thing. You know, I don't know if there just wasn't a plan for what should happen for King Woods other than you fulfill your dream, but it's supposed to lead to something. Let it lead to an Intercontinental title match. Let it lead to something, but it never did. And so I think even before he got injured, it was dead in the water when, you know, Roman Reigns destroyed the crown. What does Roman need with the King of the Ring crown?
Right. That was
about that.
That was definitely the nail in the coffin moment for the King. I mean, it kind of gave us a moment for, obviously Woods went away and came up with a new crown. Great, brilliant. You know, let's start again. He can still do this whole king thing, and whether he was heel or still face, he was still very, you know, cocky about being king and what he achieved and all the rest of it. Great, brilliant. Let's go on a run of winning matches and, you know, and all the rest of it. What's sad is there's no way it can be turned around now because you're not calling him king anymore. But SmackDown needs that right now. Everything's about Roman, which is fine. Roman's killing it at the moment, but he's done nothing since Mania. But you know, you've got King Woods, you've got Ricochet as the Intercontinental Champion having matches that mean absolutely nothing. Unfortunately for Ricochet.
So
thrown King Woods in there, maybe have him as the champion, whether he's chasing the championship or he's holding the championship. There's something that could have been done even after injury. Make him come back. People have disappeared, got injured, and made massive returns after their injuries. Why couldn't we have had that?
I would argue, following Gerard's point about, you know, Zelina still out here with her crown, I would argue that Xavier Woods is a savvy customer. He probably knows that these things die a death if you know, milk it or whatever the case is. I quite like the Roman stuff, and it should have led to at least a Roman defending the title against him, and then he could lose whatever. I think that's where it should have went. It didn't. But he was out for what, maybe about 2 months at least.
It's more like 4 or 5 months. He was out for a while because he won that. Okay. Because when he won that, they won that over in Saudi, which I think was like the November show or something like that. Yeah, that was
maybe October. So
that was certainly October or so. That was definitely before 2022.
Yeah. Okay. So I just think because of maybe even still that length of time that he spent off, he probably just thought, it's dead in the water. Like, why am I going to come back as king? You see what I mean? And I think he's just that kind of guy that thinks about the business like that. Because if Zelina's still running around with her crown all now, Xavier Woods can definitely still have his crown if he wanted it to. If he wanted to have it. So, yeah, I can only assume that is his decision to just think, this ran its course. Maybe if obviously he was around, that wouldn't have been the case. But yeah.
Possibly. I still find it quite hard to believe that he would be okay with something that he wanted for so long to just be done and over with. Now, I get that he may still have that same thinking, but then give in to the fact that, you know, it probably is dead in the water, or there's no point trying to push it when, you know, he's probably been killed off. Who knows?
Well, someone made a point that I was going to make, which was, I don't know what's more insulting, him losing the crown or his finisher being a small package. Like, this is 2022. Now the Hulk Hogan leg drop was a thing in the 80s, right? Okay. And The Rock made an elbow really cool. But a small package that we now rename and now make that a move we should fear? No, don't look out for a power bomb. Don't look out for a moonsault. Watch out for this really crafty small package.
The backwoods, I think they're calling it.
Is that what they're calling it?
It
Yeah,
is called the backwoods, which that has its own. I won't even go there.
Just
This, I don't know what's happening with Xavier Woods, but
good things come in small packages.
That's folks, really clever.
Thanks for joining us on the show this week.
Yes, right. That's clever. Just like, oh gosh.
Oh
yeah,
man.
I don't know.
It's crazy. Actually, I didn't actually know that was happening, but I have noticed that I'm sure that's how he won the King of the Ring as well, or a couple of the matches in the tournament.
No, this is something that this started after he came back.
This started like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, he just started
I know
rolling
you're saying that, like the whole thing, but I noticed that there was a week during the tournament where he won with a small package, and 2 other matches were won with a small package. So in my mind, I was seeing Xavier Woods winning matches with small package. So now to see it happening and it being a thing for the last 3 weeks, I'm not completely surprised. It's sad, but I'm not completely surprised. It's so weird. At the same time, Mick said, and we know very much that Xavier is a very clever guy. It probably was his idea on purpose to make one of the most, flimsy moves a finisher. As you said, Hulk Hogan leg drop. Yeah. We've had the people's elbow, we've had the worm, we've had all sorts of foolishness. I mean,
it's probably when they're booking matches with producers, being Xavier Woods and like the underdog of the New Day. Okay, Xavier, you're gonna get the win, and you're just gonna win by roll up, like every single time. And knowing Xavier, it's probably like, okay, let's make it a thing. Let's make it a thing.
Let's make it a thing. Yeah, I'm not surprised by it.
One more Xavier thing that never really came out of anything. Remember, he was one of the only people to actually get a win over Bobby Lashley while Lashley was champion. And he has a disqualification victory against Roman while Roman's champion.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Why haven't we done anything with this? I'm thinking too much.
I don't see what.
Well, maybe being King of the Ring was the crown for that, the reward for that.
You've already been rewarded.
Clearly, here, take this. It's a consolation prize. Here's a small pack.
Crown, stop your noise.
There it is. Silence.
Oh man! Speaking of Bobby Lashley, let's throw this last confusing thing in. Speaking of Bobby Lashley, we're still kind of getting this whole Bobby Lashley almost MVP. But then we're still trying to add Cedric Alexander in the mix. Like, what is the Hurt Business? Where is the Hurt Business? What is the point? What is going on? Why are we still doing this black on black crime with the Hurt Business? I just call it the Black Business. You might as well just call it the Black Business. I don't understand what is happening here. Mex, you made a point, actually. I saw on your Twitter earlier today. You watched Raw, and Bobby's got this new entrance or something added to his entrance. What is this?
They've basically given him a podium, and they start from the bottom of the podium, like growing up over his whole chiseled figure as he's posing. Then they still have that big graphic thing that shows him. Like, they're obviously still very much invested in this whole almighty thing, and showing how ripped and jacked he is and everything like that. But like I was saying on my Twitter, it's like, you're presenting him this way to us. Fine. Are you going to treat him how you're presenting him? Because he was never convincing against Brock when you gave us that one-off match. You still won't put him anywhere near Roman. Yet, you've compared him to giving him all the accolades, compared him to Brock Lesnar. He is up there for you guys. But we need to close this gulf of where Roman and Brock sit, and then, the McIntyres and the Lashleys are. Like, treat him accordingly. You want him to look like some god to us, then treat him like one. You see what I mean?
So does that then mean that we're going to get a win for Lashley, or is this a win for Almas? Gerard, and if, regardless of whoever wins, what's the next for either one of them?
I think this is an interesting experiment on the Omos side. He definitely needs somebody to guide him like MVP, though it doesn't feel organic. Like the MVP Lashley connection,
Mm,
that feels organic.
mm,
And I don't know, one of the things that we saw with Paul Heyman and Brock is him eventually going back to Roman because him and Roman make so much sense. Maybe they do something where MVP goes back to Lashley, because I personally think the successful Lashley is the bad Lashley, the
mhm,
Lashley that needs
mhm.
MVP. They work well together. Certain combinations are just like that. Paul Bearer and The Undertaker. Like, let's just put these two back together and let
Right,
them be a thing, because
right.
we've all seen good guy Lashley doesn't do well in WWE.
Mm. No,
Doesn't do
not
well
at
at
all.
all.
I'll just say, just to add, that every second MVP is talking to Omos or Kevin Patrick, the interviewer, saying that, Bobby Lashley needs me. You think you don't need me, Bobby? It's like you're a bitter ex-girlfriend or something like that. Like, if I was Omos, I would have knocked MVP's head off his shoulders and been like, are
Stop
you
talking about it.
working for me or are you working for him still? Like, what is this
Right.
sort of thing? So, yeah,
Right.
maybe that's, where this is going to lead back to, that MVP and Bobby Lashley get back together, hopefully.
I
Anyway.
hope so eventually. I mean, we had the whole thing with Paul Heyman and Brock, and I'm not even talking about this whole thing with Roman that we've had recently. I'm talking just in the longevity of Paul Heyman and Brock was the thing, and that's
Right.
what got both people over for so long, and it worked for so many years, and that wasn't tainted until obviously very recently, which gave us a great storyline. But at the same time, we went in between, um, Paul Heyman and Roman, Paul Heyman and Brock. Will we get that with Lashley and Bobby? I mean, Lashley and MVP? I doubt it, but it probably
Yeah.
should be the case. But we'll see what happens. Backlash is coming in a week, 2 weeks.
I think it's Sunday from what they were talking, which confused me. I was so
Yeah,
Yes,
confused, but
it's this weekend.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
Sunday.
luckily on this show we don't talk. We have no reason to talk about the pointless 6-man match. Anyway, moving on. We've got to finish the show, folks. So we ain't got time to talk about that. Anyway,
Too bad, so sad.
has been WrstlXtra. I'm your guy, A Dazzle. Follow me on Twitter on Black Wrestling A and on Instagram, where my best work is on Black Wrestling Alliance. You can follow this guy, Mex WrestleManiac.uk on Instagram, WrestleManiac UK on Twitter, and also, of course, follow and subscribe the channel WrestleManiac UK on YouTube, and of course, as always, first show of the month, we are joined by Gerard Bonner. Find him on the Faction Show, Bonafide. Also, check out the new t-shirts from Gerard Bonner, Bonafide. Go get those.
Wonderfully designed by A Dazzle. Thank you very much, sir.
I did a little thing.
Yes,
thing,
a big thing. Oh my gosh,
Go
it's
check
amazing.
that out. Those are on sale now as of today. So yeah, man, let's make it happen, folks. This has been WrstlXtra, and we will see you again next time. Boom.